Question. So there's a couple things you can do. I know this is kind of expensive, and I know people a lot of times don't like it when I say this. There's two things you have to work against. It's soft leads and good leads. And the goal is to always get good leads. When you have a competitive space, sometimes you get a lot of bad leads. So what I would say is this, like, it shouldn't be, like, I understand it's competitive, like dentists or doctors or therapists, it's always going to be competitive pretty much everywhere you go. It's always going to be like multiple in every area. So I would actually take a different route. What I would say is position yourself that you know how to get good leads. And I think it's not necessarily the like keywords. It is, you're right, it is the keywords, and it's making sure that you're competitive, but really it's the leads. And what I would say is talk to your dentist or talk to whoever. I always keep going to dentist. I don't know why, that just seems to be on my head this whole meeting. Get a qualified CRM. CRM platform is like HubSpot, GoHighLevel, Hyro, Pipeline. All those are CRMs. And why is that important? Because you want to get into lead scoring and lead behavior, because it's easy. Actually, it's easy to get leads. It's hard to get good leads, but the process to get good leads is a whole other thing that a lot of buyers don't know. And it's actually good that you're learning this, because, or I'm telling you this, because this is the second stage of learning. Anybody can run ads. Anybody can run keywords for dentists and all this other bullshit all day long. But it takes a qualified person to say, hey, dentist, what I would advise you is to get HubSpot and make sure that's connected to your Google Ads. Get into lead scoring so that when somebody comes in, calls, or does something, that you, Mr. Dentist, say, this is a good lead and this is a bad lead. This is a good lead, this is a bad lead. That data gets fed back to Google Ads. And Google will identify that, hey, this person, like, I should go more after the good lead versus the bad leads. Because what's happening now is Google does not know what's a good lead and what's a bad lead. So going back to your question, you said, how do I always stay competitive? I don't think it's, yeah, you should have long-term, there's always some easy fixes like, wow, somebody's coming in here. There's always God, I didn't know this meeting would turn so long. There's always like fixes like longer terms, like there's always things like that. You can also exclude locations, notice I said exclude locations to stay in more qualified areas. But the name of the game, I think, in the future in 2025 is leads, lead scoring, and making sure Google Ads does more qualified leads. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Is that like?
Yeah, kind of. So like, I kind of like collect information from the ads and then have like some follow-up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So they have to have a CRM. They have to have it. So make sure that's going to be the big thing in 2025 is making sure almost all these small businesses have a CRM, and that data gets fed back to Google. Because here's like, let's go to my plumber example. I have a plumber right now. This guy does not have a CRM. Now, we've been lucky. We've been very lucky so far that we've been getting good leads. But I think it's going to get, I think soon he's going to have bad leads, but because we don't have any lead scoring. So what happens here is that lead scoring. So what he tells me is, hey, I have all these emails, I have all these names, I have all these addresses, and I want you to take that information, I want you to plug it into Google. I want you to plug it into Facebook, right? It doesn't work like that. You must have something called the Google Click ID. And that's part of enhanced conversions. But the Google Click ID is lifted by the CRM. You need to have a platform to platform. You can't just like say, I want this. You can't do it through Excel, but it's kind of complicated. There are people I know who will, in the comments channel, be like, oh yeah, I do it on Excel all the time. But no, easiest way to do this is through a CRM. And making sure that Google, that when the dentist or whoever says this person's bad, this person's good, that feedback teaches Google to go after more. That's far more important, I think, than going after like long keywords, because you can get leads. The leads is not the hard part. It's making sure, even a competitive field, it's just making sure those qualified leads. That's where I'd advise you to do more research on that. And I do have some videos on that too. But CRM, my friend, is going to be your friend. I would highly make sure you look into that.
Yeah, and also like you have to kind of like, is it free? Or do you have to kind of like sell them on like buying it for themselves as well?
For a CRM? Yeah, it's not much. It's like an extra $100 a month. It's not that bad. I think HubSpot's like an extra 100 to 200 a month. It's not bad, dude. It's worth it. It's the easy expense in the world. Like, watch, but before it was only with big businesses. Now it's with smaller. Like they're going this next year. It's gonna be smaller businesses, and like I said, you want to make sure that Google Click ID is connected. Always remember, and you guys should enhance conversions. That's another thing you should look into. Now, you did have a question on how do I make my buys more efficient? What I would recommend is, like you said, long tail keywords, use locations, make sure your locations are airtight, because what can happen is Google's very loose lately. Even if you use, they live in that area, you want to use exclusions to exclude people outside too far, right? So if they're too far, let's say, I mean, if it's 40 miles versus 50 miles, probably not. But if it's 60 miles, 70, 80 miles, you want to exclude those areas and make sure that that location is your area to work from, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,